I never thought my dream of rebuilding our crumbling fixer-upper with Ethan would turn into a nightmare. I'm Fallon, and my life was supposed to be a canvas of love and renewal, tearing down old walls to build something beautiful with the man I swore to cherish. But as the dust settled and new faces walked through our door, I felt a dangerous spark ignite within me, a pull I couldn't resist, even as it threatened to shatter everything I hold dear. Now, with Ethan's trust hanging by a thread and my heart torn between guilt and forbidden desire, I'm standing on the edge of losing it all. What did I do to let it come to this? Picture this. I'm standing in the middle of a room that smells faintly of old wood and forgotten dreams, my fingers tracing the edge of a chipped windowsill as I stare out at the gray October sky. My name's Fallon, I'm 28, and this creaky two-story fixer-upper just outside of Chicago is the place I've called home for the past year. It's not much to look at. Peeling wallpaper in shades of mustard yellow, floors that groan with every step, and a kitchen so stuck in the 1970s it might as well have bell-bottoms. But when my husband Ethan and I bought it, we saw potential. A canvas to paint our future on, together. Ethan's 30, a software engineer who buries himself in code for hours on end, his quiet nature a stark contrast to my restless energy. We've been married for 3 years, and while I'd be lying if I said every day felt like a fairy tale, there's a deep love between us, a love that's been tested lately by long silences and missed chances to just be. I work part-time as a freelance graphic designer, which means I've got the freedom to set my own hours, but it also means I'm often pacing these outdated halls, itching for something to fill the quiet. Ethan's job keeps him tethered to his laptop, his eyes glued to lines of code even when I'm rambling on about paint swatches or tile patterns. I can't help but notice how he barely glances up, offering a distracted hum instead of the spark of excitement I'm craving. It stings a little, if I'm honest, but I push it down. We're still us, I tell myself, just a little out of sync. That's why this renovation project feels like more than just a home improvement. It's a lifeline. A chance to rebuild not just these walls, but the connection that's been fraying at the edges. We've been planning it for months, dreaming up ways to strip away the old and make something new. Something ours. I've got sketches scattered across the dining table, ideas for a modern kitchen and a cozy reading nook by the window. Ethan's even promised to take a few days off to help, a rare break from his digital world, and I'm holding on to that promise like it's gold. Our house sits in a suburban neighborhood, the kind of place where everyone waves, but no one really knows each other. It's charming in its own way, with overgrown hedges and a front porch that sags just enough to give it character. Inside, though, it's a time capsule. The living room carpet is a faded green, the kind of color that makes you wonder what people were thinking back then, and the staircase banister wobbles if you lean on it too hard. But I love it. I love the idea of what it could be, and I love the thought of Ethan and me, side by side, tearing down the old to make way for the new. It's a metaphor, isn't it? I guess you could say it's a symbol of everything we're trying to hold on to. So, here we are, diving headfirst into this renovation, ready to get our hands dirty. It's a Thursday evening, and the air in the dining room is thick with the sharp, earthy scent of sawdust as Ethan and I tackle our first big task, tearing down a wall that's been standing between us and our dream open-concept layout. The room is dimly lit by a single overhead bulb, casting long shadows across the mess we've already made. I can hear Ethan grunting with every swing of the sledgehammer, his breaths heavy and ragged as he slams it against the drywall, sending chunks of plaster crashing to the ground. Sweat beads on his forehead, and his t-shirt clings to his back from the effort. I'm not faring much better. My arms are screaming after just 20 minutes of prying off the old, stubborn baseboards with a crowbar. Every muscle in my shoulders burns as I yank at the warped wood, splinters catching on my gloves. The chaos around us is almost overwhelming. Plaster dust coats every surface, turning the air hazy and settling into a fine layer on my skin. It's in my hair, on my clothes, even gritty between my teeth when I breathe too deeply. Tools are scattered across the floor. Hammers, screwdrivers, a jigsaw we haven't even touched yet, looking more like a battlefield than a workspace. In the corner, a growing pile of debris looms, jagged pieces of drywall and splintered wood spilling over like some kind of monstrous sculpture. I pause for a second, wiping the sweat from my brow with the back of my hand, and glance over at Ethan. He's leaning against the half-demolished wall, catching his breath, the sledgehammer resting at his feet. I can't help but let out a shaky laugh, my voice cutting through the dusty silence. "Babe, I think we're more likely to break the house than fix it." He looks up at me, his tired hazel eyes crinkling at the corners as he lets out a low, exhausted chuckle. "Yeah, maybe we should have watched more YouTube tutorials," he says, shaking his head as if he can't believe we thought this would be easy. We keep at it for another couple of hours, fumbling through every step, our movements clumsy and uncertain. By the time we collapse onto the couch, it's pushing 10 o'clock, and we're both sweaty, aching, and utterly defeated. The dining room looks like a war zone, with half-demolished walls exposing raw studs and wires we don't even know how to handle. I sit there, my head resting back against the cushion, staring at the mess we've made. Ethan's beside me, his arm brushing against mine, and I can feel the heat radiating off him from all the exertion. We don't say anything for a long moment, just letting the weight of our failure settle over us. Then, without words, I'm still slumped on the couch, the ache in my muscles a dull reminder of our failed attempt at playing contractors, when I finally break the silence with Ethan. I turn to him, my voice softer now, almost resigned. "We can't do this alone, can we?" He sighs, rubbing the back of his neck, and shakes his head. "No, we're in over our heads. I'll call around tomorrow, see if we can get some real help." And that's how, by the next afternoon, I find myself opening the front door to 3 construction workers who look like they've stepped straight out of a rugged calendar shoot. My heart skips a beat as they file into our home, their presence filling the space in a way that's impossible to ignore. First, there's Jake, about 35, with a scruffy beard framing a strong jaw and piercing blue eyes that seem to see right through me. He's got this weathered, no-nonsense look about him, like he's spent years wrestling with stubborn beams and unforgiving tools. Then there's Marcus, 32, whose booming laugh echoes off the walls as he steps inside, his biceps straining against the sleeves of his flannel shirt, making it clear he could probably lift half this house if he wanted to. And finally, Travis, the youngest at 29, with a cocky smirk that doesn't quite hide the mischief in his dark eyes, a sleeve of tattoos peeking out from under his work jacket, like a story I'm suddenly desperate to read. They tower over Ethan and me, their heavy boots thudding against the worn floorboards, leaving faint trails of dirt in their wake. The air shifts with their arrival, carrying the faint scent of sweat and sawdust that clings to their clothes, a raw, earthy reminder of the kind of hard labor we couldn't manage on our own. Jake takes the lead, his gaze sweeping over the disaster zone that used to be our dining room. He lets out a low whistle, scratching at his beard as he surveys the half-torn-down wall and the mess of debris we left behind. "Well, damn, looks like amateur hour got the best of ya," he says with a grin, his tone teasing but not unkind. Marcus chuckles, crossing his arms over his broad chest, while Travis just smirks, leaning casually against the doorframe like he owns the place. I feel a flush creep up my neck at Jake's comment, but I force a laugh, trying to play it off. "Yeah, we thought we could handle it. Clearly we were wrong." "Want some coffee before you start?" I offer, gesturing toward the kitchen, hoping to shift the focus. They nod, and as I lead them through the house, I can't help but notice how their confidence seems to fill every corner, making our little fixer-upper feel even smaller. They get to work almost immediately after downing their coffee, tearing into the rest of that dining room wall with an ease that makes our efforts from last night look pathetic. The sound of hammers striking and drywall crumbling fills the air, a steady rhythm that's almost hypnotic. I stand off to the side, watching as Jake directs the others with sharp, precise instructions, his voice carrying over the noise. Marcus swings a sledgehammer like it weighs nothing, while Travis moves with a kind of reckless precision, ripping out old studs with a crowbar. Ethan's nearby, holding a broom, trying to keep up by sweeping away the growing pile of dust and debris, but I can tell he feels out of place among these men who seem so at ease with the chaos. And then, something shifts inside me. I don't know how to explain it, but as I watch them work, there's this strange electric pull tugging at me, a mix of admiration for their raw strength and a reckless curiosity I can't shake. It's like a current running under my skin, daring me to step closer, to test the boundaries of this moment. I catch myself staring a little too long at the way Jake's muscles flex as he lifts a heavy beam, or how Marcus's laugh seems to rumble through me when he cracks a joke about the outdated wallpaper. Travis catches my eye once, and that smirk of his widens, like he knows. As I stand there, caught in the aftermath of a moment I can't take back, the air in the dining room feels heavier than ever. The noise of hammers and saws has died down, replaced by a suffocating silence that presses against my ears. I can still feel the lingering tension from what just happened. My careless words, the way my gaze lingered too long on Travis, and the sharp, wounded look in Ethan's eyes when he noticed. It's like the room itself is holding its breath, waiting for the fallout. The workers, Jake, Marcus, and Travis, seem to sense the shift too. They're awkwardly gathering their tools, the clatter of metal against metal sounding louder in the quiet. Jake keeps his head down, avoiding my eyes altogether as he slings a hammer into his tool belt with a little more force than necessary. Marcus mumbles something under his breath, barely audible, about getting back to work tomorrow, his usual booming voice reduced to a gruff whisper as he heads for the door. Travis, though, lingers for a split second longer, shooting me a conflicted look, part curiosity, part something I can't quite name, before he turns away and follows the others out. Their heavy boots echo on the porch, fading into the late afternoon, leaving me alone with the wreckage of more than just this house. I turn slowly, my heart thudding so hard I'm sure it's audible in the stillness. Ethan's standing there, just a few feet away, near the half-demolished wall we'd been so excited to tear down together. I brace myself, expecting him to unleash the anger I know I deserve. I'm ready for shouting, for accusations, for anything to break this unbearable quiet. But instead, there's nothing. His face is pale, almost ghostly in the dim light filtering through the dusty windows, and his hazel eyes look hollow, like he's staring right through me. He doesn't say a word. Not a single sound. It's an eerie calmness that chills me more than any outburst could. My throat tightens, and I stammer out apologies before I can stop myself, my voice shaky and uneven. Ethan, I didn't mean for it to look like that. I wasn't thinking. I'm so sorry. Please, just say something. The words tumble out, desperate and raw, but they might as well be spoken to a wall. He doesn't even flinch. Instead, he just turns, his movements slow and deliberate, and walks past me without a glance, heading for the stairs. I stand frozen for a moment, my chest aching with a mix of guilt and fear, before I force myself to follow him. Each step on the old staircase creaks under my weight, the sound sharp and accusing in the silence of the house. My hands tremble as I grip the wobbly banister, feeling the rough, splintered wood beneath my fingers. It's like the guilt is a physical weight, settling deep in my chest, making every breath harder to draw. I don't know what I'm walking into, but I can't stop myself from climbing those stairs, from chasing after the man I've hurt in a way I can't even fully grasp yet. The hallway upstairs is dark, the fading daylight barely reaching through the small window at the end. I can hear my own uneven breathing as I approach our bedroom door, half open, a sliver of light spilling out onto the worn floorboards. When I step inside, I see him. Ethan's sitting on the edge of our bed, his back to me, his shoulders slumped as he stares at the wall. The room feels smaller somehow, suffocating, like the tension between us has sucked all the air out. I hover in the doorway for a moment, unsure if I should even be here, but the need to fix this, to make him look at me, drives me forward. I sit down on the bed a few feet away from him, the mattress dipping under my weight, and I start talking, my voice low and pleading. Ethan, please. I know I messed up. I don't even know why I let myself get caught up like that. It wasn't anything, I swear. Can you just talk to me? Yell. The silence in our bedroom is suffocating, stretching into the night like a heavy fog I can't escape. I'm lying on my side of the bed, the sheets cool against my skin, but there's no comfort in it. Ethan's just a few feet away, yet it feels like miles separate us. We're not touching, not speaking, just existing in this unbearable void. I can hear his breathing, uneven and shallow, like he's fighting to keep something inside. It's a sound that claws at me, each ragged inhale a reminder of the hurt I've caused. I stare up at the ceiling, the faint cracks in the plaster blurring as my mind replays the day's events over and over. The way my eyes lingered too long on Travis, the careless words that slipped out, the wounded look in Ethan's gaze when he caught it all. I hate myself more with every passing second. How did I let it come to this? How did I betray the one person who's always been my anchor? The clock on the nightstand ticks relentlessly, marking time I wish I could rewind. It's close to midnight when I feel the mattress shift suddenly. My stomach drops as Ethan sits up abruptly, his silhouette sharp against the dim moonlight filtering through the curtains. I don't move, don't dare to breathe too loudly, waiting for whatever storm is about to break. Then, his voice cuts through the stillness, low and raw, like it's been torn from somewhere deep. How could you do this to us, Fallon? Those words hit me like a punch, stealing the air from my lungs. I turn my head slowly, meeting his eyes for the first time in hours, and the pain there is a blade twisting in my chest. Shame floods me, hot and suffocating, mingling with a desperate fear that I've broken something irreparable. I open my mouth to answer, but the words stumble out, clumsy and fractured. I don't know, Ethan. I don't know why I did it. I felt out of control, like I wasn't myself. I'm so sorry. My voice cracks, pathetic even to my own ears, but I can't stop the flood of excuses and apologies, grasping for anything to ease the weight of his stare. He cuts me off before I can say more, his voice rising with an edge of anguish I've never heard before. I saw it, Fallon. I watched it all happen, and I felt powerless to stop it. Do you have any idea what that did to me? Standing there, seeing you look at him like that, hearing the way you spoke, it was like I didn't even exist to you. His words carve into me, each one a fresh wound. I can see it in his eyes, the memory of that moment playing out again, the way I let my gaze wander, the subtle but undeniable pull I felt toward someone who wasn't him. It wasn't just a look, it was a betrayal of everything we've built. My throat burns as I try to swallow back the tears, but they come anyway, hot and silent, streaming down my face. Then he says something that shatters me completely, his voice dropping to a broken whisper. I still love you, Fallon. Even after this, I do. But I don't know if I can ever trust you again. Those words are a weight I can't bear. I let out a choked sob, reaching for his hand instinctively, needing to feel some connection, some sign that we're not lost. But he pulls away, his fingers slipping from mine before I can even grasp them, and the rejection stings worse than anything he said. He stands up, the bed creaking as he moves, and starts pacing the room, his movements restless, like he's trapped in his own thoughts. I watch him, helpless, as he runs a hand through his hair, his shoulders tense with the burden of what I've done. The air between us crackles with unspoken questions, with the wreckage of our shared dreams. Then he stops, turning to face me, his eyes searching mine with a raw intensity. Do you even want to fix this? He asks, his voice sharp now, demanding an answer I'm not sure I have. The next morning, I wake up to an empty bed, the sheets on Ethan's side cold and untouched, as if he hadn't even tried to sleep there after our late-night confrontation. My chest tightens as I sit up, the silence of the house pressing in around me like a heavy fog. I call out his name, my voice echoing through the stillness, but there's no answer. Stumbling out of bed, my bare feet hit the chilly floorboards, and I make my way downstairs, a sinking feeling growing with every step. That's when I see it. A small folded note on the kitchen counter, right next to the coffee maker we used to fight over every morning. My hands tremble as I pick it up, unfolding the paper to reveal Ethan's familiar, neat handwriting. Fallon, I need space. I'm staying with a friend for a few days to clear my head. Don't call me yet. I'll reach out when I'm ready. Each word stabs at me, a sharp reminder of the distance I've created between us. I stand there, frozen, clutching the note as if it might somehow change if I stare at it long enough. Wandering through the half-renovated house, I feel like a ghost in my own life. The silence is deafening, broken only by the occasional creak of the old floors beneath my weight. The dining room is still a mess, with jagged edges of drywall and scattered tools lying exactly where they were left. A stark, ugly reminder of my mistakes. Every splintered piece of wood, every layer of dust, seems to mock me, whispering of the moment I let my guard down and shattered Ethan's trust. I can almost see the memory of that day playing out in front of me. My lingering glances, the careless words, the way everything unraveled so quickly. The weight of it all presses down on me, making it hard to breathe as I trail my fingers over the rough edges of a torn-down wall, wondering how I let things spiral so far out of control. I end up on the couch in the living room, sinking into the worn cushions, my eyes drawn to a framed photo on the side table. It's from our wedding day, 3 years ago, under a canopy of autumn leaves just outside the city. Ethan's arm is around me, his smile wide and genuine, while I'm laughing, my head tilted back, caught in a moment of pure joy. Staring at it now, my throat burns with unshed tears. How did we get from there to here? I pick up the frame, running my thumb over the glass, and the realization hits me like a wave. I have to take responsibility for what I've done. No more excuses. No more pretending it was just a fleeting lapse. I betrayed him, plain and simple. And if there's any chance of salvaging what we had, it starts with me owning up to that truth. With a shaky breath, I decide to call the construction company and cancel their services. Facing Jake, Marcus, or Travis again feels impossible, like walking back into the scene of a crime I can't erase. I grab my phone, my fingers fumbling over the screen as I dial the number. When the receptionist picks up, I try to keep my voice steady, but it cracks almost immediately. Hi, this is Fallon, from the house on Maple Lane. I wanted to let you know we won't be needing your team anymore. We've decided to go with someone else. There's a pause on the other end, a polite but curious tone as she asks if everything's okay. I mumble something about a change of plans, my words tripping over each other, and hang up before I can say anything more. Setting the phone down, I bury my face in my hands, the shame of it all washing over me again. I can't face them, can't face the memory of how I let myself get drawn in, how I risked everything for a fleeting thrill. Over the next few days, the loneliness becomes a living thing, wrapping itself around me tighter with each passing hour. I try to keep busy, tidying up small corners of the house or working on design projects, but my mind keeps drifting back to Ethan. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment if you enjoyed this story.